Let's do the damn thing.
Oh, you know what time it is. It's time to take it to the Birdland. It's about to go down. Hope y'all ready. Yeah, let's go. Come and roll with me to the Birdland. Friends got to giving you the word, man. Any other BS is absurd, man. Sports talking, they give it to you firsthand. They can talk Terps, they can talk O's. Yeah, they both lit. That's how it goes. Baltimore squad, Ravens and Poe. Better tune in. Here gonna show. Birdland, Birdland, Birdland. BS. Birdland, Birdland, Birdland. BS.
It's all about that BS, baby.
It is.
Joined in studio this week by the one and only Mr. Joe Carlos.
How's it going, everybody?
What's up, peeps? Appreciate you guys for tuning in this week. Obviously, the other gentlemen are in Vegas.
Cheers.
Cheers to Fred's birthday. Fred, this one's for you, buddy. I'm sure you have probably had a lot more than we will ever have tonight. Already out there.
I don't know. I've gotten Scott to do 2 shots already, so
Yeah,
we'll see how this goes.
This is always fun. But no, so it's definitely been an interesting week in the NFL, in sports in general. A lot going on. We're going to dive into some of those things. Obviously, the guys being out there, I know that they're having fun. I already saw videos of them racing upstairs.
Something fell out of their pockets or something. I don't know what it was.
James tripped and shit went everywhere. That's all I know.
James.
Stay off the weed.
I like it. It is Vegas. I mean, what happens in Vegas?
It might be
stays in
legal there.
Vegas.
I don't know. So.
It is. Trust me.
Okay. Never mind.
You walk into MGM out there, it's a contact high. And you're being asked, don't you have taxes to do?
I do, but I'm here anyway, supporting Scott. That's all I got to say.
Joe coming on this week, being the special guest host. We also we were trying to line up an additional guest or two, but unfortunately, just timing couldn't work out. But we will be having 1 or 2 of those guests on here in the coming weeks. So excited to really kind of get into those guests as we come into the new year and we really bring on more guests. A lot of you guys have asked for that, so we are trying to do that. But let's kind of get into this week. As the show states, nothing is free because it's free agency that's going to cost you. It is wild. It's heating up. It's just day 2. So we're going to take a look at the Ravens free agents and other guys that the Ravens actually may be looking into to give contracts to. So we'll kind of see what happens there. Hey, yo, Rip Razor Ramon. Yes, Scott Hall passing away.
Yes,
we'll get into that in the extra hour or in the rundown in the after hours. And then we got some other stuff going on.
Read all about it.
Extra, read all about it. The lockout is over, baby.
Woohoo! I guess I'm excited.
Baseball is on. Kind of ish.
I think I'm still mad about it, honestly.
Yeah, a lot of people are. But the Orioles, look, they're having to scramble to figure out their plans for opening day. So we're going to get into that and what they're going to be doing. Some changes in the CBA and a signing make things interesting for the top prospect in MLB.
I know.
I'm curious to see and get your thoughts on this. This week's rundown, we're going to keep it simple. We're going to go over all those NFL news from the past week that we aren't going to hit in the Ravens flock section because there's plenty to talk about. But I do want to bring up, on the Birdland BS bracket challenge. We put this out on Twitter and Facebook. You can see it in the description. We got the link in the description as well on the live video here. We're doing it on ESPN. So you just go to ESPN Bracket Challenge, go to the groups, search all the groups for Birdland BS 2020. The link, again, is in the video. Join. We already have 12 people that have joined. Joe, you've already joined. Are you going to give away who your champion is or no? You keeping that to yourself?
I think I'm going to go Gonzaga. I think that's going to be most people's thing, but I just want to let you know, Fred doesn't know about this yet, but he said he would give a free T-shirt away whoever won. So
it's out of that money he's going to lose in Vegas.
Exactly. Sorry, Fred.
Make sure you guys tune in. Stay tuned for all this stuff and more as we go on. But before we get started, remember that team over at MD Crash? Yeah, we've been telling about you for the past 2 years. You should hear it by now. You should have saved it in your phone by now. They've expanded, though. More lawyers, and they're handling a broader spectrum of cases now, Joe. So, tax trouble,
Possibly,
they might be
yes.
able to help out, right?
Definitely need a tax lawyer once in a while.
Exactly.
You don't want to be there, though.
But these guys, they cover everything. It's the team over at Bowers, Hassan and Herndon. They can help you with family law, from divorce to custody to child support, even criminal cases, traffic tickets, and that occasional murder you like to commit, Joe.
There's enough of that in the Baltimore City.
Yeah, exactly. So make sure you give them a call or text 667-220-6500 anytime for any of your needs. Save this number now again. Update that MD Crash number. It's 667-220-6500. Call or text anytime and get the team at Bowers, Hassan, and Herndon on the case for you. All right, Joe, it is time to talk some Ravens flock. And there is obviously a lot going on in free agency. Free agency day one.
It seemed kind of like subdued.
Subdued, and especially for the Ravens. So I do kind of want to get into a few moves that they made prior to that, the free agency piece, which one of them this past week, the Ravens released veteran cornerback Tavon Young on Wednesday, right after the show on Wednesday, last Tuesday. They released him on Wednesday. That cleared some cap space before the start of free agency. Now, he played for 6 years here. He was very endearing to the on the field and off the field presence. A lot of people gave him a lot of credit, but he did struggle, right? He had 3 different season-ending injuries. Cost him all of his 2017 season with his knee, his 2019 season with his neck, and most recently his 2020 season with his knee again. So those injuries really have derailed a career that a lot of people were looking at, saying this kid's got a lot of promising potential. Yeah, exactly. So kind of curious to get your take on the release here and the fact that they're just kind of saying, you know what, we're going to part ways with you. You know, we had given him a contract and we said, you know what, it's just time to say, turn it over. Again, saving a little over 5.5 on the cap per overthecap.com. But what are your thoughts on the Ravens releasing Tavon Young?
I wasn't that upset about it because I think when we talked before, when I was in here, most of us thought he was going to be gone by next year, this year. I think they're going to draft a cornerback in at least the second round. The first 2 rounds. So
you got a lot of people that also think Brandon Stevens showed a lot of promise. Right, especially some people are thinking, and I think Flock Nation said, Brandon Stevens moves to the slot. Very well could be. I think because
he was a corner and a safety in college.
Exactly, he has the ability to be flexible. He's going to be able to learn, and we're going to get into the addition they made today. But when you look at this secondary, on paper, top tier corners in the league, like the top tier corner tandem in the league. The problem is both those guys are coming off severe injuries, so we got to make sure they can truly bounce back. I mean, it's one of those things that you're like, if everything pans out, this secondary could be fucking unstoppable. It
would have been unstoppable this year, I think, but they just got someone mown him over with a lawnmower or something. I don't know.
Yeah, somebody was throwing
rocks.
Somebody was sniping out of the top row of M&T Bank, apparently. But no, look, you get the cap space there, right? And we're going to get into cap space here in a little bit because I want to get your thoughts on where we stand. But then we also get the announcement of Alejandro Villanueva. We briefly talked about this last week. He retires. That's going to save us $6 million.
I got that conversation too. Villanueva, you're retiring. Get out of here. Okay.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That was it. It was. Hey, we need to go younger. I think it makes sense. But between those two guys, right, almost $12 million in cap space.
A lot of money.
So it's definitely a lot of money. And when you look at that, it puts them in a much better position than they were a week and a half ago. Because a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks ago, we were talking $5 million, $6 million in cap space. Now we're talking $15 to $18 million in cap space. And we already see them utilizing some of that today.
I think everybody was shocked on this. I was.
I was, but I wasn't, right? Because the Ravens go out and they sign free agent safety Marcus Williams, 5 years, $70 million, right? A little bit, what's going on here for a second, right? Because that's about $13-14 million a year. The problem with that for some people is people were thinking we could get Tyrann Mathieu for that.
How old is Mathieu? He's got to be older. I
think he's 31 or 32.
Yeah, this guy's 25.
Exactly where I was going with this. The youth here, right? We're trying to go younger. This guy spent 4 seasons, or technically 5 seasons, with the Saints. Played in 15 games, 16 games, 15 games, 14 games, 16 games, respectively. right? So the guy is tenured. He's been around. He's not necessarily an interception machine. 4.2, 4.32 as far as interceptions over those 5 years.
Not bad.
It's not bad. It's respectable, right? This guy is in the top 20 as far as interceptions each year that he's played, but he wasn't playing as safety for Marlon Humphrey and a healthy Marcus Peters.
And a Chuck Clark.
And Chuck Clark, exactly, right? The master himself as far as play calling and being able to control this defense. This could be, you could open up his ability to be a true free-ranging safety.
We need that.
We need a ball-hawking safety.
Like, I like Deshaun Elliott, but I think his time was up.
I think so too, and we had some people chiming in. They were kind of saying, moving Brandon Stevens would be dope as long as they wouldn't sign Eli and Apple. I'll be happy there.
I don't think he's coming here.
Yeah, a lot of people are kind of thinking, maybe he'll come. He's not coming here. It's not going to happen, especially after what he said about Lamar and all that. And I know it's good old ribbing in a sense, but it just shows you that he's willing to talk and can't back it up all the time, right? We saw that multiple times throughout his playoff run. But I think when you look at everything, everybody's kind of saying one of the things that you look at, he's known for one bad play as a rookie, been a top safety since 2019. Sign me up. So I'm assuming you're talking about Marcus Williams, but I think the Ravens see something in him that just shows you that they are going the right direction.
Flock Nation's right on that. Elliott and Clark are the same type of players, and one had to go.
Yeah, I mean, it shows you that they're saying that it wasn't in-house. The answer wasn't in-house for them. But when you look at this guy, again, 6'1", 195 is what they've got him at. He was drafted in the second round by the Saints in the 2017 NFL Draft. So this guy had a lot of promise, continues to have promise. They even offered, so his original contract, he was on a 4-year, $6 million deal. He got an extension with a franchise tag. So they franchise tagged this guy last year, and they had him at 1 year for $10.6 million. So he bumped his value up. Obviously, he was a staple in that secondary for the Saints, which the defense was probably the best thing about the Saints this past year, right? So to go get a piece to shore up your defense from one of the better defenses in the league, I think it made sense here. Any problem with the numbers? Do you think it makes sense?
I think it makes sense. I don't think they overpaid. Like, you don't want some ridiculous, crazy $100 million deal for a safety. Even if they would give out that, but who knows these days? They just throw money around like, they have like $1,000 sitting in their pocket. But I really think that the deal is good, and I do like that Tony Jefferson's here too. Like, he showed promise last year. You have 25. He's not a rookie, but you got a veteran backup. That'll help you. I think that's good for the Ravens.
Yeah, and you get somebody saying, Griff says Deshaun Elliott should have been playing strong safety, and that's kind of what we're getting at. He's not a free safety, right? Deshaun Elliott and Chuck Clark are both strong safeties. The problem is Chuck Clark is better at helping to control the defense and be that play and signal caller. Now they adjusted it last year and had him flip out of that role in some plays.
I wonder if that was their downfall a little bit.
It very possibly could be, because he knew that defense. He knows his guys, and that's one of those things you have to kind of take a step back and look at. Does this defense improve, right? When you look at what they did, I think it's interesting that they sign Williams, especially to an extended deal, considering just before that, the Ravens tenured 6 players, one of which was Geno Stone, which you were expecting that he would be the guy that would be in the free safety position.
Yeah.
But now you go and you sign an extended contract with Williams. Where does that put Stone? Is he on the outside playing in?
No, I think he proved himself last year. He's just a backup. He's not there yet.
Do you think he winds up starting on the practice squad?
No.
You think he'll be on the starting roster?
He'll be on the starting roster.
You think we're going to carry 4 safeties?
The way our secondary was last year, we're going to need all the safeties and all the corners we can get. We don't even get a pass rush either. So
yeah, they said Geno Smith can play next to Williams. He also had the green dot in the Packers game against A-Rod.
I thought he played pretty well.
He did, and that would be the one value to him, is that he can play. I wonder how McDonald is going to utilize these defensive players, and that's a good point, right? This is all you developing based on what your needs are, but you better be paying attention. How's McDonald going to use these guys? Right? How much of an influence is McDonald having on Harbaugh, and Harbaugh then turning around and having on EDC?
What if you use Clark as like that guy that, plays middle linebacker, plays corner, plays safety? You move him all over the field, you're going to need a Geno Stone.
Yeah, I mean,
because they all said that he's a good tackler and he plays those kind of positions.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that he did show a lot of promise. Now, obviously, with Geno Stone, we released him at one point, right? And then he wound up coming back to us.
Everybody loves the Ravens.
We're able to get him back. So I think there's value to that. I think one of the big things that you got to look at is with this defense, it really comes down to the package comes down to the health of Marlon and Marcus.
True.
Because if one of them is out, you've got to flip a Stevens onto the outside. He can't play the slot anymore.
Yeah.
So then that frees up. Now your safety is not now your free safety is not playing free safety anymore.
Nope.
Which means then Chuck Clark needs to be out there in the strong safety to really guide this defense a little bit better. Now again, we saw him kind of come into the game and be the green dot, play well, and be able to coach it. But Chuck Clark is that guy.
He's the man.
I don't think he's a guy that you can overlook. And Tony Jefferson, that's maybe another guy that you're bringing in to help a guy like Williams get to the next level.
Yeah.
Right. And not that.
He looked good though. Tony
Jefferson wasn't a ball hawking free safety, but he adds you depth, right? He gives you that depth piece, and again, we talked about it previously. The tutelage he's going to provide to these young players.
Definitely,
he's been around for a while. He's been in the league a while, but so is Chuck Clark. So now you're paying two guys.
Chuck Clark's on the cheap though. I mean,
they're both somewhat on the cheap for what they are, but it's one of those things we gotta get through it. Nick Short, we'll have to carry 20 cornerbacks the way our injuries went.
I agree, Nick.
Yeah, but I think it's interesting when you look at everything. I talked about the tenured players, right? So I talked about Geno Stone. Outside of that, the only other guy is Christian Welch that they tenured, which he spent half the season on the practice squad and special teams floating between the two.
You need those guys to make up your team.
You do. But to tender one of those guys, it's a little surprising. I mean, I guess maybe it's a depth piece at linebacker.
I mean, he filled in at middle linebacker when Queen was hurt. He come out.
Fair enough. He was in Fair enough. So they tenure him. Then on the offensive side of the ball, this was the interesting one that I think tells them that they have I don't want to call it a backup plan, right? But we all know that center is a big thing. We all know that they're interested in Bradley Bozeman. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But they tenure Tristan Colon Castillo.
Okay.
Right? That's a backup plan. Him and McCarrier can be backup plan centers, right? If you can't get a guy that's 100% ready in the draft or through free agency, he becomes a guy that can be serviceable.
I think he played pretty well 2 years ago. Now, he filled in a little bit here and there on the line last year, but when he had to play center those couple games, I was very impressed.
Yeah, I was happy with
what
I saw.
Small sample size.
It wasn't anything that blew me out of the water, but it was we didn't have there wasn't bad snaps.
That's McCarry. Right. He's better off on the line.
Right. McCarry has been well at tackle, and who knows what they do. Again, we still have the draft. Right, that's what we got to remember. We still have the draft to deal with. So everybody that's clamoring for all these things, they're good to clamor for. It's nice that we all agree on what our needs are. But the Ravens historically have been pretty good at drafting offensive linemen for the most part. They're pretty hit. They're pretty hit on offensive line when they draft them. Third, fourth round guys.
You would agree, even someone like Ryan Jensen, who had one really good year and he got paid highest paid center for a couple years, and now
he wound up being a really good one.
Goes, come back.
Yeah,
come back, you redheaded monster.
Exactly. But we'll talk about that in a minute. So Tristan Colon Castillo, Tyler Huntley. I think this was a no-brainer to tender him. Right?
Oh, someone would pick him up in a heartbeat.
Exactly. So if you tender him, you can keep him on, and he's your back. He's truly your backup. The problem is he's got. You have to be open-minded. Right? I think if we have somebody that we could be on the practice squad that could feasibly fill in for Lamar if something were to happen, you have to at least entertain all offers.
You see, I would have called the Commanders because they were giving away everything in their brother and say, exactly. Hey, you want Huntley for like 2 first rounds? And then you could turn around and go trade for like our buddy McSorley, which I liked, Yeah. Hey, here's a 6th round pick, Arizona, and you steal.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I saw somebody chime in on the whole piece about the offensive lineman. And Juwan James is another good example, right? We picked up Juwan James last year.
Forgets about him.
So that's another guy that should be hopefully healthy. Cross your fingers to come back next year and actually be a participant and really take it and elevate it to the next level. So that'll be quite interesting. The other one they tendered. Honestly, to me, this was a no-brainer. I thought this was the guy they should tender. Nick Moore, long snapper.
Oh, definitely.
You gotta tender your long snapper.
They need to pay him. He did pretty well last year. I don't think he had
filled in very well.
Shoes.
Yeah, he filled in very well on the Wolfpack, so I was very happy there. The one that did have me really scratching my head, Tyson Williams.
I don't know. You got me there.
You didn't use him. Why are you tendering him?
Exactly. I don't know.
It makes no sense.
You're looking at me like I have the answer. Hey, EDC, call me up.
I know.
Hit me on Twitter. Give me an answer or something.
Help Joe with the answer here because I just don't get it.
Well, I think
it doesn't make sense to me.
I think you're better off getting rid of him and even Justice Hill and say we're done with you. Bring in a young third string guy. That's what I would do.
I'm not sold on Hill.
I said get rid of him. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you said all right. I thought you said bring up Justice Hill.
No,
I misunderstood you.
You get rid of those two, and then you draft a young guy maybe in the 5th round or something like that.
I mean, do you?
Or the fourth? We have
Devontae was a 1-year deal, right?
1 year, and Murray's both gone. They should be, at least as far as I remember.
All from a fucking contract. All from a vet minimum contract to know a system that they already know.
They're going to look at it and go, okay, you got your 2 starting running backs. I ain't going to play.
Hopefully they come back healthy.
True.
We haven't hit camps yet.
That's like if that's last minute, I can wait on them because they're not going to get a job.
I'm scooping one of them up and giving them a veteran minimum deal just because both of my starting running backs are coming off of injury. I'm giving one of them a veteran minimum deal.
Well, they're probably
making the offer.
Playing the cap game right now, where if they pay him now, maybe they can cut it down.
Yeah, but you also can. There's contracts that you can restructure here. We've talked about restructuring Marcus Peters' contract.
That should be done like yesterday. Lamar should have been signed 2 weeks ago. We don't have to get on that topic, but
we'll get into that. We'll get into that a little bit because there's some controversy going on with that whole piece. But my whole issue is there's ways to work with the contracts that you have, restructure some of the contracts you have, drop some of the guys, which is good, right? You're already freeing up some of that space, and it's good. You went and solidified some of that, which tells me that they think they're going to be able to get a lot through the draft, right? To be able to free up some of these guys. One of the other guys that they did re-sign, defensive tackle Aaron Crawford. They signed him as an undrafted rookie in 2020. Spent most of his rookie season on the practice squad, and last year was on the injured reserve. I think that signing I think that was a practice squad deal. I think that is just simply
a body.
It's a body. It's depth if you need it, especially because you don't on that defensive front. You haven't solidified anything yet.
You have LA and. I mean, Bowser, tore his Achilles, so you don't know if he's. You're
hoping he's going to be back in time to start, right? But you also hope they don't push him back too quickly. So we've been talking a lot about salary cap. Well, Brian McFarland at Ravens salary cap is how you see him on Twitter. He said entering today's and this was the other day, entering today's legal tampering window with the $15.72 million cap space, they can create more if needed, but probably not imperative at this moment. The Ravens, under contract and tendered guys, they had 189.3. So that left them with that just over 15 million, probably 15, just about 15.5 million in the cap space. Now you're going to tie some of that up. We don't know what the contract for Williams looks like and how it's structured yet.
I don't think that came out yet.
We haven't heard what the cap hit.
Here's the question. Who's taking up most of their cap money right now? Is it Peters and Humphrey? I mean, you would think without not having signed a quarterback, they'd have a lot more room.
Yeah, I think
Stanley, I guess, is taking up a lot.
It's Stanley. I think the highest contracts are Stanley, Humphrey, and Peters, but they restructured Peters to make it lower last year. We could see the restructure again this year on his contract.
Stanley should be waving his hand going, hey, I'll help you out.
I'll restructure. Exactly. He should be. But not knowing what's going to happen with him, if he's even going to be playing. I mean, they're saying that he could be done for his career.
That would suck.
Which would suck. At which point, you would hope he would be like, look, We'll give you a Chris Davis contract. Just we'll extend out all that money.
Chris Davis Day. We all have to remember that. I don't even know when it is, but
no, I think it's interesting, right? Looking at that. So then you got to turn around. Well, after you look at the salary cap, you got to turn around and you got to look at the free agency, the Ravens free agents, and then the Ravens rumor mill that's been fired up at this point, right? So let's just quickly unrestricted free agents. Listen to this list: Calais Campbell, Brandon Williams, Tavon Young, Sammy Watkins, Patrick Ricard, Jimmy Smith, Justin Houston, Chris Board, Justin Ellis, LJ Fort, Latavius Murray, Pernell McPhee, Devontae Freeman, Anthony Averett, Chris Westry, Crawford, which we did re-sign, Deshaun Elliott, Bradley Bozeman, Khalil Dorsey, Toro Alaka, and Brandon Knight.
All right, say that 3 times fast.
No, I'm not going to go through that list again. So that's a lot. Over half of those names were guys that at some point were starters last year. Almost half of those names.
I'm trying to count them too. There's 1, 2, 3.
Half
4,
the list is defensive guys.
5 corners. I was actually surprised they got rid of Restry.
Let's see.
Because he's young.
Watkins, Ricard.
I don't care about Watkins.
Watkins, Ricard, Freeman, Bozeman, and Knight. You have 5 guys off the list that I just read that were offensive guys. The rest of them were your defense.
Yeah.
Pay attention, people. You could see some draft moves that we weren't anticipating because you're going to need to free this up. Now, you did shore up the safety position, obviously, with the Williams piece, right?
He checks the box.
He checks the box, right? So that you don't have to worry about Deshaun Elliott at that point. That also kind of, he could probably fill in a little bit. I think Stevens handles Anthony Averett. I don't think Chris Westry's going anywhere. I don't think he played well enough to go anywhere.
Maybe like
he'll be a
minimum
practice squad
contract
guy next year. I don't think he's going anywhere.
Averett probably is going to sign a big deal.
Yeah, people are saying dump Watkins. We'll hate to see Ricard go.
That would suck, but I think that's why they brought back our buddy Ben Mason.
Yeah,
because he priced himself out of the market like Juszczyk did.
Yeah, and that's the thing is when you go that way, Mason was like nobody wanted him. Now you brought him back. Now we've got him back. Okay, are you going to go back in that? Smith coming back, maybe. Like, there's a lot of different things that could happen here. But a few of the main spots, right? The rumors have been flying about Bobby Wagner since the Seahawks dropped him.
That would be
the Ravens apparently are interested, right? And the Ravens flock wants to see him in purple and black. I think he played well. He wasn't playing to his fullest potential because he didn't have a whole lot of guys around him.
Seattle's went in a tailspin real fast.
Yes, but I think Bobby Wagner, I want to say he's like 31.
I have no
32.
idea.
I'd have to look it up. Somebody out there might be able to know.
Hey, Chuck.
But yeah,
look us up, Chuck. I'm looking at Chuck.
Yeah, somebody help us out. But he's up there, right? So we're talking about getting younger. Does that make sense, right? The other one that people are clamoring for now, if you're going to go with a guy that's a little bit older, this is the name that I'm probably a little bit more intrigued by.
All right, who's that?
The interest that the Ravens apparently have in bringing back Zadarius Smith.
I would like that.
I would not.
He's a true Raven. That you can take Smith and get rid of McPhee. McPhee was serviceable, but
Zadarius Smith is younger. McPhee was potentially on his way out. He was, he wasn't
older.
playing as many snaps. Now Smith is still getting up there. He's not. I don't think he's as old as McPhee is, but he's still getting up there. But it helps you fill a stopgap. I'd put him, 2-year contract maybe, right? Maybe a 3-year,
probably 3.
maybe 3-year. But I think there's interest there.
Someone
because
said he's not coming back. I don't know who.
Because if you bring him in. One of the things, Wagner was born in 1990. Okay, so that makes him 32.
Okay, good math.
So you're the tax guy and you can do math that fast? Jesus Christ!
Where's my calculator?
Yeah, right. But they said you would never have a calculator when you needed it. It's my phone. But no, the idea of a Wagner or Smith, I think the appeal with Wagner is the fact that you have the injuries going on in the linebacker spot. You had LJ Fort last year. You had Bowser going down at the end of the year. That's, I think, the intrigue for a lot of people there with a linebacker like Bobby Wagner.
Who are they going to have playing with Queen then? Because I guess Malik Harrison is still there. So
you have Harrison who can step and fill in. I think you got to see what happens with Bowser, right? If Bowser can come back healthy, then there's not a problem there. And if you re-sign LJ Fort for something, then you can make it work. But the thing is you have to also look at that front line. This defensive front, I mean, all those guys I just named, right? Crawford was a fill-in guy, but Jelly, Houston,
Campbell,
Williams, and Campbell. 4 guys.
Yeah, I don't know who they're going to have to play defensive lineman.
So the Zadarius Smith piece kind of intrigues me, especially considering Calais Campbell has said he loves the Ravens, but he wants
Campbell
to go
back
through the free agency process. At this point, if Campbell comes back, I don't hate with it. Joe, a close friend, is close to Smith. He told me a chance he will come back, but you never know. Money talks. I don't know. I guess
is that Zadarius Smith? Is that what they're saying?
Zadarius Smith. I guess they're saying he's a close friend of theirs. So I mean, look, it'd be definitely nice to bring him back. And I think it's a flip, right? Do you go a Smith? Either one of these guys is not going to be cheap.
No,
and you just spent who knows how much on of your cap space on Williams.
Probably spend your big free agent signing.
If you're going anywhere in free agency, anywhere else in free agency, to add somebody that's not off of somebody else's practice squad, or a second position type player, right? A backup type player that you think has the potential to be a starter, it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to restructure. It's going to be interesting. Both those guys, intriguing. I get it. To me, Zadarius Smith of the two sounds more interesting. And then you also got to let's look at the offensive side of the ball, and let's specifically look at centers, right? Bradley Bozeman is really drawing some interest. We're hearing interest from the Giants, the Jets, the Bengals, and the Panthers. The Bengals would freaking hurt, right? Division rival going over there, and they just made it, and they've already made moves. We're going to talk about some of the moves that they made to shore up that offensive line. But if they get Bradley Bozeman, they shore up our center position, that's going to hurt, especially with our guy.
And I think some of I saw before we started the show, there was a couple centers that signed, like Jensen, and there was another one or two that were like, they were just going down off the chopping block.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, right? So you talk about Jensen, Kelsey, Ben Jones that was with the Titans, Mitch Morse, and Brian Allen. They all stay with their teams. The Bucks, the Eagles, the Titans, the Bills, the Rams. They all stay with their current teams. Tom Brady had something to do with Jensen. We're gonna leave it at that. But now you gotta say, okay.
I think that was tampering by Tom Brady.
You either pay a center, or you are getting your center in free agency.
Or that guy from Iowa is looking pretty good right about now.
Linderbaum may make it. Now, again, who knows? Maybe the Ravens think that Colon, Castillo, and Macari are enough. So if they're enough, now you just shore up the other spots. Like if you want to go grab another, I don't think we necessarily need to grab another guard, because you got Zeitler. Cleveland started to come into his own towards the end of the year. I don't think we thought he was the project that he was. Right.
True.
So he turned out being a little bit more of a project. Maybe you see a leap this year, but really you need to shore up the tackle spots, because right now you do not know what's going on at left tackle.
Nope. That's kind of scary.
It is, which is why I think you have to go get. I understand you paid him, but you got to go get your left tackle of the future.
Definitely.
You have to go get the left tackle of the future.
You have to either draft him in the first or second round, at least.
Yeah. So, and we're going to do some more. I know some people chimed in asking about some of the mock drafts that we've done in the past. We're going to do some more of those in the coming weeks, have some more guests on to do those. It's a little harder when it's just two of us in here.
Maybe I'll be invited back.
Maybe you'll be invited back. You've been doing a pretty good job so far. I like it. But
Scott, I think he needs to take another shot right about now.
Oh, geez. All right. Well,
come on, Scott.
Then you get into some of the AFC North free agency pieces. All
right.
So tell us about what the Steelers have done so far. Well, because this has an impact on our division here.
I don't know if the Steelers quarterback signing was much of an impact with Mitch Trubisky. Signed a 2-year, $14.25 million deal, and it can be up to $27 million in incentives. I don't look at that as being an issue. They got Mason Rudolph.
It's better than Mason Rudolph. I don't know how much
really
better, but it's better.
The Steelers will draft a quarterback this year in the first couple. I don't know if they have a first-round pick. I know they traded some away the last couple of years, but
I'd have to look and see. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I would say they're drafting somebody. They also signed Chiwuga Ogofor, offensive tackle. Sorry, I butchered that name. Arthur Mallett, a cornerback, and Miles Killebrew re-signed to a 2-year deal.
Yeah. So both of those guys, the secondary guys, are guys that played a role last year.
They
in the
don't
secondary
look,
being okay.
For me, that's not like, oh, that's a huge deal for the Ravens.
It's not a splash signing. No, it's not a splash signing.
I think they're going to take a couple. I really think the Steelers.
Thank you, Donnie. They picked 20th.
Okay, there you go. I think they'll take a step back this year just to try to regroup. Because, sometimes the Ravens needed that, 1 year. It's like, even this year, if we made the playoffs, it would hurt us more drafting in the back of the first round than being 14th. It would have hurt us more.
And Chuck says Mitch Trubisky coming to Pittsburgh is a huge dice roll. It is, but at the same time, I think he's just, at this point, it's a 2-year deal. It's a stopgap, right? It's so you can draft your next guy. I saw that, Dribbles, Mr. Dribbles. You need a sippy cup?
I was laughing at Mitch Trubisky. I mean, come on, that guy sucks.
Look, I get it, but he's better than fucking Mason Rudolph at this point, right? And Mason Rudolph, you put him in when Ben went down. Well, what the fuck happened? Your defense kept you in. He did nothing. So you're hoping it does something. He's really just a stopgap. It's $7 million a year for a starting quarterback.
That's not that bad.
Not bad numbers.
Not bad number.
That's not bad numbers. Now he's a shitty quarterback. I don't disagree with that.
But all right, well, let's move on to the Steelers because nobody likes them anyway.
It didn't make sense. Now here's the one that gets really interesting: the Browns. And we're gonna have the guys over at Big Play on at some point to get their take on all this shit.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
So Amari Cooper is acquired in a trade with Dallas in exchange for 2022 fifth-round pick and a swap of 6-rounders. Trade is not official until tomorrow, technically. Oh, so someone might back out. But the Browns are apparently all in because they subsequently released Jarvis Landry, who was supposedly their team leader.
Could you imagine if Jerry Jones said, "No, I'm not doing this," and just now they're
out Amari Cooper and Jarvis Landry. Pull it off the table. That would be hilarious.
By the way, Nick, God. I have no idea what happens to Haskins. He sucks. He went to Ohio State. That's all we got to talk about.
Maybe he's the backup. Is like Rudolph gone now?
I don't know. I mean,
we have to look at that.
He's probably practice squad or third string.
Yeah. Look, it's one of those things that this does not make sense to me. They fleeced Dallas, though.
I'd agree with that.
Dallas only getting back a 2022 and then swapping 2022 fifth rounder and then swapping 6-rounders.
Well, I wonder if some of it had to be the money. I don't know what he's getting paid, but they probably had to dump some because, as you know, even with the Ravens, they can't all have top tier guys all making
I get that.
$100 million or whatnot.
No, I get that. My thing is it to me on paper, like, and maybe it's the name, right? But Amari Cooper seems like he draws a little bit more than a 5th rounder and a swap of 6-rounders.
I'd agree.
I mean, that's pretty much Amari Cooper. Let's almost call it Amari Cooper for. And I'd have to look to see what the swap
Marquise
is.
Brown, can we swap?
Watch the swap be like, I don't know. It's probably like 5 picks or something like that. Maybe it's 10, maybe it's more.
Like
I don't know. But even still, to swap that in a 6-rounder, you might as well have just done it for a 5th rounder. And Amari Cooper, to me, is maybe a 3rd round. 2nd or 3rd round type guy talent. The way if he's got the right quarterback, Amari Cooper can be deadly. Not saying Baker's the right quarterback.
No, but I think a lot of times these GMs look at the guys that are older like that. You would think they would go 3rd round, but since they're older, they don't get that value.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is the head scratcher that we said last week, the tight end David Njoku gets the franchise tag.
Yeah, how much
makes
are they
no
paying?
sense. He ended the year on the injury. It just doesn't make sense
and
at all.
They got Hooper, so
yeah, exactly.
You paid him.
Right, exactly. So now you're paying David Njoku top 5 tight end money, and you barely utilize
It's not like they were Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez back in the heyday when the Patriots had those two. They're not even close to that.
No. But then the Browns go out. Defensive side of the ball. They get Chase Winovich. They acquired him in a trade with the Patriots in exchange for Mac Wilson. The trade doesn't become official until Wednesday when the new league year starts. And then Taven Bryan agreed to terms with the Browns on a 1-year deal worth up to $5 million, defensive tackle. If you don't know him, neither do I. That's all I'm going to tell you. That's all you need to know. Maybe somebody out there does, but he's never been on my radar, never a guy that I'm paying attention to. And maybe that's me. It doesn't seem like a splash move for me to help their defensive front. But I don't know what their salary cap situation looks like.
Me either.
So I would imagine it's pretty expensive with Amari Cooper now. That's probably why you dump Landry to get rid of the money. And you know that you're already paying some of your defensive edges and your edge
probably
rushers.
paying Odell too since they released him.
Very well could be. Very well could be.
And Bengals.
Bengals. So this is the one that's interesting because the Bengals go out and they're looking. We already know the Bengals need to shore up their offensive line. Well, what's the first thing they do? They sign a 4-year, $35 million that includes $20 million over the first 2 years and $1 million in Pro Bowl incentives each year to Alex Kappa, the guard. Right. So
I don't even know him.
I forget where he came from. I saw it and I didn't put it in my
those
notes.
offensive linemen, they're sneaky unless they're
usually they wind up staying on the same team most of their careers. It's rare that some of these guys on the offensive
like a Jensen
line,
or whatever, something
a Jensen, a Whitworth. We're gonna get into him a little bit later, right? But that's one of those things that is just interesting because then they turn around and they get Ted Karras, who's another offensive lineman. They sign him to a 3-year deal, $18 million contract, right? So $6 million a year. Probably he's probably a guy that could float between guard and tackle. I'm
probably
sure.
Cheap.
Probably on the cheap, yeah. So, and then they go and they get Jesse Bates. Or I'm sorry, they didn't go and get him. They franchise tag Jesse Bates, their safety. Interesting guy to franchise tag, I guess, but I don't know I haven't paid attention enough to their safeties to know. I know that they're.
And I would think top safeties aren't making as much money as say a quarterback or a tight end.
I mean, your top. You have one top safety in Williams that we just got. He's considered a top tier. You're going to be paying him probably 12 to 15 million, and Tyrann Mathieu is expected to get anywhere between 13 to 18. So, I mean, if that's the case, this guy is very easily getting a 12, 13, 14 million dollar contract. So it's kind of one of those things you're intrigued by what's going on. It definitely, you had teams making the move. I think the farthest away from anything is the Steelers. I think the Steelers are further away from things than the Browns are, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
The Browns, it's the Browns.
The Browns could blow up any second, though.
They've had good games. They've had bad games. The Steelers.
I just don't trust Baker.
The Steelers. What do they have on defense? Well, and at this point, who you're going to have Mitch Trubisky throwing now? I mean, like. Are we that impressed? Are we that intrigued by this? I'm not. It's a 50-50. It's a 3A, 3B type situation for me. So really kind of interested to see what happens as we move into the true bulk of free agency and when we get to the draft to see how these teams approach it. But we'll stay tuned for that. All right, it is time for the Liquor Stop social media shout out. What are you drinking on? We got a few different brews, some brews that we've had before.
Duck Pin Pale Ale.
Out of Union. That stuff's good. I like their pale ale.
Thank you.
It's very good. I got this one out of Unita Brewing Company. We had this one before. This is their Guava Mojito Tart. It's called Birthday Suit. It's actually pretty good. Don't mind it. If you're not a fan of sour beers, it's tolerable for a sour beer.
You tried to give me that, and you said guava, and I was like, no. And then in my head, I thought, Scott really wants to be on vacation with the boys in Vegas, so that's closest he's going to get.
Exactly.
It's got tropical animals on it, flamingo.
Well, I hope nobody's in their birthday suit
exactly.
Vegas trip. So, but yeah, no, it definitely was a good beer, and so I enjoyed that, like that one. And Duck Pin is good as well. Ton of you guys chiming in the chat room.
Nick Short, Chuck Summers. I think James was first. Somehow in Vegas. I don't know what time it is in Vegas.
Yeah,
but he was first.
James was first. Chuck Summers, William. I know that you tuned in. He shot us a message yesterday. We forgot when the show started.
Garnett was in there.
Garnett, Abdi. Let's see. You were in there. What the hell are you doing?
I was in there. I was like, hey, what's up, yo?
Garnett, Donnie. Let's see, Flock Nation.
There's Drew.
You already said Nick.
Drew's in there, free drinks.
Drew's in there. Garnett again. Dominic Henson, what's up, man? Griff was in there on YouTube. GMN Stretch was in there on YouTube.
You see Daddy in there?
I have not seen Daddy in there. Daddy's probably drunk.
Is he at the pool?
At this point, he's probably drunk at the pool, passed out, something along those lines. But a ton of you guys chiming in. We're trying to get it. Tony Luster out there. Does Zadarius Smith come back? Again, it's an intriguing name.
Well, if you scroll down, someone said no way they knew him, and
not a chance.
Yeah.
Donnie was saying that not a chance there. Travis Whitfield also joining us. Appreciate you, Travis. I think that's all the names that I saw in there chiming in. If you are in the chat, if you are watching, feel free to chime in the chat room. Get in the chat room with everybody. We're trying to do this Also, make sure, as I said before, previous to the show, when we first started, if you guys want to get in on the Birdland BS bracket challenge, it's real easy. It's in the description on YouTube and on Facebook. We can't put it on Twitter for some reason, but we do have a Twitter post that went out yesterday for that. It's got the link in there. Just all you got to do is search on ESPN's bracket challenge, search Birdland BS 2022 there, and you can put your bracket in there. It's one bracket per person, and there's Joe has
Fred's giving away a free T-shirt for the person that wins.
So we're gonna give away a free T-shirt for who wins the bracket challenge.
If one of the boys win here, it should go whoever the next closest person is.
We might have to do that.
It's not a member.
We might have to do that
of the Birdland group. Well, you're all members, but you know what I mean.
Everybody's a BSer, but the in-studio group.
Yeah, exactly.
That means you're disqualified now.
Damn it.
All right, guys. It is now time for some bros, bows, and O's this week as we kind of get into things. Hey, did you hear?
Extra, read all about it.
The lockout's over.
Woo!
Kind of. It is over, but it's over, and they're still arguing over stuff. And
I heard they were talking about ghost runners again. I was like, I just shaking my head.
There's a lot of things that are going on with this that are kind of crazy. The teams have reported, obviously, a lot of things going on with the CBA here and the way that this works out. And I know we gave our fans a week or two ago kind of a rundown of what the arguments were and where things stood. So a few things just kind of touch on with this new CBA. It's a 5-year CBA. So this will go through December 1st of 2026 before the next lockout. 12 teams will make the playoffs starting in 2022, and it will go. The winners will be best records, and they'll receive a bye. The third division winner will receive the highest seed in the wild card round. So there basically is no play-in game anymore.
I kind of liked when they had the little. Was it 2 years ago when they had the bracket, the shortened season?
Yes,
I like that.
That's kind of what they're going for.
Which is weird because I'm like a pretty traditionalist when it comes to baseball.
The owners just wanted a few more guys in that, so I think that's kind of what they're doing.
Do you want to know why I liked it? Because I won money off of it.
I'm sure
I got everyone right but one.
So playing rule changes coming in 2023. Larger bases at first, second, and third base. They'll go from 15 inches to 18 inches.
They're really. Did you see the picture of them online? I mean, they were huge.
They look huge.
I don't understand, but I guess it's supposed to.
Why don't we put an orange base at first base?
Well, technically, it's supposed to be 60 feet 6 inches. Like, so the base is actually closer.
The bases are actually no. So the front of the base, no. So 60 feet 6 inches is the pitcher's mound. It's 90 feet.
90 feet.
So they will still be 90 feet. They're just bigger, so they go deeper into the field.
Well,
than they did
maybe
before.
they want to stop that whole like when you're running down first base and the people are like trampling on over each other.
You want to stop the clipping. You know, it's a little bit
when
of
Manny Machado steps on people's ankles.
Player safety, right, is kind of what they're going at. You're still going to have collisions.
Do you think Manny rides motorcycles?
Maybe. The only way you're not going to have collisions at first base is if you do the softball thing and do orange and white. You have a two-base thing, which is so stupid.
Yeah, like the softball's got the huge big. The girls, they have the huge big side.
Yeah. Next year, also coming, a 14-second pitch clock, maybe 19 seconds if there's a runner on base.
I don't really care.
If you're not going to enforce it, you have the pitch clock already. It's not being enforced.
And if you're not going to enforce the people being in the batter's box.
Exactly.
I mean, it does. When you're at the games, you'd agree, you see the clock, it does seem like it moves, but like, I don't care about that.
Yeah. A ban on defensive shifts. Teams must have 2 infielders on each side of the base, each side of second base.
I like that, honestly. Like, I think that ruined a little bit of Chris Davis and a lot of these hitters. Like, come on, you would agree.
I agree.
You played baseball growing up. We never had this exorbitant shift, and you hit a little single over the second baseman, and there's a guy standing there just going, "You're out, sucker."
Yeah, I get it. It's taking a little bit, but it's what they're saying is it's taking some of the excitement out of the game. So I get the shift and getting rid of it.
You mean like
and I think players, it's going to hold players accountable for. I said it a few weeks ago. I don't know if you remember the old diagram that used to show you what player, like it was a Venn diagram almost, but it was every player and what they should be able to cover. And it's like we've gotten away from that. You should be able, as a shortstop, you should be able to get out there. You should be able to make that throw. Jeter used to do it all the fucking time, the hop throw, right? When's the last time you really saw a hop throw? Manny?
Probably, because most of the time the shortstop's playing behind second base, and any single up the middle is not a single anymore.
Well, I mean, he can still play as long as he's on the left side.
Yeah, but
of second
they
base.
were like extraordinarily, like you'd be like, "Oh, that's a hit," and the guy's standing right there. I mean, that's crazy.
you're going to have the umpire forcing it. So
another enforcement.
Put a freaking line on the field. Put a white line on the field between second base and
lines.
Back.
That's even weirder.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. The minimum salaries also increasing over the next several years. This year being $700,000, and by 2026 it'll be $780,000. Minor league minimum salaries also going up. First year players starting at $57,200. Second year players are going to jump to $114,000 in the minor leagues.
Oh wow, that's a bad thing just to play a game.
Yeah, I know, right?
I still don't understand that because don't they sign their deal? So don't they get paid no matter what? So if Rushman signs a $3 million deal.
That's if you're a drafted guy. If you're an undrafted guy, you're that minor league deal. You're playing you're playing on the cheap, right? So I get it.
I gotcha.
And again, overall minor league salaries are going to bump up. They're currently the rookies they're going to be making $400 a week up to $9,200 after 23 weeks. So they're really trying to bump some of that stuff up.
I think it's good. They talk a lot about these minor league guys having 2 jobs and, they get crappy facilities and all that kind of stuff. They should look, if they want to improve the game and they want more kids to play, improve minor league stadiums, put money. MLB needs to step in instead of spending money on
I agree.
This, that, and let's go have
step in and build facilities at each minor league stadium for them to actually house these guys in.
A lot of these or they used to be, a lot of the stadiums are owned by regular people. They're not owned by big companies.
Keys, Bay Sox, Ironbirds, they're not owned by baseball.
I know an owner that they own a AA team up in Pennsylvania. And he basically said
Is it the York Revolution?
No, it's not the York Revolution. That's independent ball. It would be the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's Altoona Curve. And he said a lot of these bigger companies are coming and buying them up. But, I mean, you guys, everybody knows out there, even with Canyon Yards, what is that renovation going to cost?
Well, but it's not even just that. It's the advertising rate. I mean, look at when you get some of these young guys coming up. I know that you weren't able to go with us when we went down to Bowie.
I did go. It got rained out, remember?
The second time.
I did not go the second time. I wish I would have been able to go.
The second time when we went, like the stadium being sold out for that Grayson Rodriguez gas game, right? The gas can game. That one was crazy because it was pretty much sold out. It was packed. And that's what people are looking at is when you bring in some of these young talent, you bring in top tier guys, you can make it fun. Look at the Bananas, the Savannah Bananas. They're an independent league as well. But I think what people are seeing is the opportunity, right? Yeah. The marketing opportunities that are coming along. We're starting to see the Ironbirds, the Bowie Bay Sox with the marketing opportunities and really putting the investment in because you're going to get the investment.
People will come in if it's a nice stadium. It's clean. It's easy to get into. It's you got a good product. People will show up.
Concessions aren't overpriced.
Yeah. And they're actually pretty good usually in the minor league stadiums.
Yeah, you're watching these guys come up. It's fun, the engagement of the fans, the trivias, the throwing stuff into the stadium. So it's good to see, and it's good to see them putting that into it. And the pre-arbitration bonus is another thing. So guys getting,
I think that's a good thing for these younger guys.
Extra incentives if they do hit some of the marks like Cy Youngs, MVPs, Rookie of the Years, that type of stuff. So that extra piece. The service time manipulation. The top 2 players in Rookie of the Year voting must receive at least a full year of service time, regardless of when they were called up.
I think that's good.
Which makes sense because they have to be, I thought, and this is my misunderstanding maybe, I thought in order to be considered for Rookie of the Year, you had to play an X amount of games. I thought that there was an X amount of games and a minimum.
I feel like the minimum was either like 60 maybe or something like that to be considered rookie.
I thought for some reason I was thinking it was like 100.
Because Mountcastle came up 2 years ago, and I don't remember how many games, but it was like 30 something. But he didn't hit the quota.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So I mean, it's interesting to see that they're kind of doing that then because that's one of the things that you can kind of get these guys to bring. You want to bring guys up sooner.
They should be doing that. You want to fill the minors with, all the talented you want. The Orioles want to do it. I'll tell you this much. If Grayson, Adley, DL Hall, maybe Gunnarson's maybe a long shot this year, but most of those young pitching guys or even one of the outfielders like Kyle Stowers, he's very impressive.
Yeah.
Kerstead, you probably at least another year.
Yeah, you got another year.
But
at least.
Bring them up. People will show up at the stadium down in Canyon Yards to watch them play.
Yeah, when you see the youthfulness and you see these guys, especially if they start having any form of success, it's going to look good. But
I'd rather watch those guys play than watch like a bunch of old bums that are washed up.
Right. Well, and that player or that service time manipulation piece, that by itself would be like, oh, well, they would just keep these guys down. They don't get the rookie of the year voting, and then if they don't get the rookie of the year voting, they don't get the pre-arbitration bonus, and we still keep the service time. Well, here's the thing that helps with that. Teams that promote a player to the opening day roster and keep him up for a full season will be eligible to receive up to 3 draft picks if the player finishes in the top 3 in the Rookie of the Year voting or top 5 in MVP Cy Young before he is eligible for arbitration.
Adley.
So if you bring him up now,
3 draft picks. Is that going into effect this year or next year?
It goes into effect this year, right? So if you bring him up, if he finishes top 3 in Rookie of the Year voting, you get 3.
How are they going to do that?
If he then finishes, let's say this year and I'm just throwing this out there, it would be a great hope. If this year Adley was Rookie of the Year and he has a crazy year and next year he's in the top 5 for MVP,
could you get 6?
You could potentially be looking at 6 draft picks.
So
it's an incentive to bring these guys up.
Where are they going to put that? Because
it'll probably be in the 3rd round.
Well, but they only have 20 rounds now, I think. I'm pretty sure they came out and they said they had 20.
I'd have to look. I don't know if they covered that in this part, but there's definitely...
So are they just going to add an extra round for this kind of stuff? Or is that like a special comp
amateur
thing?
Player draft? So the first 6 selections are going to be the... Yeah, so it's 20 rounds. You're right. So it's 20 rounds. So it'll probably be...
Wait, can you say that again?
20 rounds.
I know
You're
I'm
right. You're right. I got you. But the first 6 are going to be by lottery, right? So
I did kind of like that. It keeps people from totally tanking.
A piece of competitive balance. Exactly. I get it. I mean, but you're still getting a number 7 pick, if you
Whatever.
shit the bed. But, and you could potentially be looking at, who knows, you could be looking at 2 picks.
Yeah.
Right? You could be looking at 2 picks in the top 10. So that's the interesting part. I think I would have liked to have seen, if we're going to round it out to 10 as a draft lottery, top 10 picks, or even the whole first round. The whole first round would be interesting.
You mean just cut the round short?
Yeah, cut the round short.
Yeah.
What you get one, each team gets 1 pick, and you do a draft lottery, just like the NBA does.
Yeah, but
it works.
Could you imagine if
it works in the NBA? What doesn't work in the NBA is free agency.
Yeah.
Free agency is the problem in NBA. But no, there's a lot of different things to look at in this CBA that you kind of have to take a step back, read through it all. I would encourage you guys to take a look at it. BlessYouBoys.com does actually have a good breakdown of it, and that's a pretty good piece on the CBA and everything that's on with it. But moving on from the CBA piece. Talking about the Orioles, they're getting ready. They're down there at spring training in Sarasota. Games, I think, start Thursday. I think it is. I think games.
Your son told me Friday.
Is it Friday?
I believe him.
I can't. I would believe my son too.
I go, how you doing? Good. Are you ready for baseball? Yeah, they start Friday. Okay.
I would believe him too. Are
you going to watch it? I'll try to.
So
he has a half day, so hopefully, Grandma
will let him watch it. I'm sure. Yeah. But so obviously they're getting ready down there. Guys are reporting, including fucking DJ Stewart. Saw a picture of that the other day.
He needs to go away.
He needs to go away. But one of the things that came out today at Opacey, the wall is still not done.
I didn't see a
picture. Less than a month away. You haven't seen the pictures?
No, I have not. You have to show
my goodness!
I'll have to.
Let me
just
pull out
show
the
it to me
pictures
now.
Yeah. So the wall is concrete.
They took a picture of the unfinished wall and go, "Hey guys, we're ready for you."
They're trying to show you the progress, so I get it. You're trying to show that it's there. You've got the concrete that looked like in the one picture, it looked like it had just been poured within the past 24 hours. So I wouldn't be surprised either. But one of the things that you got to kind of factor in here is there's a lot of different things that are going on with this. So if you scroll, you can kind of see the pictures there. But a lot of different things going on with this. Not only do you have to get the wall, you have to let it dry. You're going to have to get the railings on the inside of the wall up.
That looks so weird.
You got to get the padding up. Then you got to get the seats back in place, clean it all up. The whole bottom section right next to it. Concrete still has to be poured there.
You got to do drainage too,
and you have to do drainage exactly, which I think is what the rock is that's there. I think that is the drainage that's in there.
Yeah, right there.
If you guys look at the picture, they were on Twitter. The Orioles posted the picture
still don't have
earlier
seats
today.
Hey, there's my row.
Still don't have our row.
Oh, that's
our
right.
row.
People don't know we're in the same row.
We're in the same row. But yeah, no. So I mean, interesting. And the grass looks like shit.
I know the ground. I can't think of her name. Groundskeeper. She's probably pissed.
Sherry.
Right now. Sherry's probably.
Yeah, Sherry's probably fucking annoyed as hell right now because that grass.
Well, it'll take them all year to get it ready.
Oh, it will. It will. 100%.
Because that's the one thing about no matter what groundskeeper it's for MLB, opening day, that's their time to shine.
Yeah.
Because it's immaculate, it's perfect, it's glistening, it's amazing.
With the pictures I just showed you, do you think it's ready? We are less than a month. We are less than 30 days away from opening day at Camden Yards, April 11th.
They got the concrete up.
Padding, railings, seats, clean up, drainage.
I would think it depends when the concrete. We don't know when the concrete was poured. It does look fairly new, but I would think they'd have to give it at least 10 days to cure and settle or whatever.
Right. Then you got to get the padding up.
You better hope they have that in stock. I mean, with COVID, everyone has. Good luck. Maybe you might just need to.
Not to mention, okay, what are you going to? Is that all going to be from where the grass was to where the wall is now? Is that all?
Well,
is that all warning track now?
I don't know.
Or are you going to extend the warning track?
I didn't look the picture big enough to see if they actually.
They don't have enough to be able to show it. Yeah, so there's some grass in where it used to be, but there's not. You can't tell what they're doing because they're still driving trucks in and out.
Yeah.
So
I think, I don't know. I could see them makeshifting something to get it ready, but it probably won't be fully ready.
It's not. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be fully ready either. But
they kind of announced that kind of late too.
Bring your own chair for opening.
I know. Bring my own chair. Oh, great.
And you don't get a discount on your ticket
Probably
either. Not. But no. So you got that right. Then the fact of opening day. Opening day is now against the Brewers.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like opening day. Opening day is usually against your division rival most of the time.
Yeah, but in that defense now with them having the universal DH, every team's playing a game and everyone's playing interleagues.
What there's 60 interleague games now.
Yeah.
So you're playing against 10 different teams.
Is that this year they changed it? Because I know Manfred was pushing towards competitive balance and not so many division games.
I think it's this year. No. They wanted more division games, interleague games. I'm sorry, they wanted more interleague games, not more division games.
Well, they probably hope that people like you and me will go to St. Louis or wherever.
Well, I mean, the thing is here's why I do like it. I just don't like it on opening day. I like it because I get to see more players. Right? I can see if Chris Bryant was still with the Cubs, being able to see a Chris Bryant come in, right? Being able to see we're talking Brewers, a Josh Hader come in, right? Those type of guys, it's cooler to kind of see, and that's a way to bring fans in. It's if you have more of them in the summer. That's why I like the summer ones, because when it's hot, you're getting all that fucking tourist money. Because all those people are traveling with their teams or trying to travel with their teams. So that's where I'm fine with it. Where I'm not fine with it is the beginning of the season and the end of the season when it used to be division games. And that's when you want your fans there.
Yeah, but the Yankees fans and the Red Sox fans take over Camden Yards anyway, so.
Yeah, but you give them more of a reason when you put those games in the summer. I'd rather those games be the meaningful games where either the stadium's empty because we're not showing up and it's a weekday game, so you can't have them bill it, but you're also getting more money by having them be there. So
recently, a lot of those Red Sox Yankee games have been during the week.
Yeah,
the last couple of years. I mean, I remember back in 2012 when we were filling the stadiums. They were weekends. But I'll probably honestly, I don't like going to the Yankee Red Sox games. I'll probably will sell most of mine just because I do not care for their fans and. I just don't want to see them.
We're going to get into this a little bit later, but Adit says new CBA isn't going to stop tanking. Exhibit A is the Reds.
Oh, that is bad.
Traded Sonny Gray for Jesse Winker and Suarez last couple of days. And you also have the move that the Yankees made.
Wait. Your boy, your idol, Ken Griffey Jr. is the 6th highest paid Red on the team right now.
I know, that's pretty bad. He's been out of the game. He's in the Hall of Fame.
I know, he's in the Hall of Fame, still getting paid. That should be a Ken Griffey Jr. day. How's he still getting money?
Yeah. Chuck does bring up a good point. More I-95 series with the Nats and Phillies.
I like the Phillies. I don't like the Nats. The Phillies have a great ballpark. I've been there. I loved going there. I'd go again.
You've been there plenty of times. Your wife's also used to be a
She's
Phillies
a
fan.
Phillies fan, but I converted
Let me rephrase
her.
that. She used to be a Chase Utley fan, right?
Yes, true. When
I can't say anything because I do have a Chase Utley jersey.
and maybe
I have a jersey that's not a catcher. Where's the guys?
The Matt Wieters jersey upstairs too.
Yeah. By the way, the casting couch is just Fred sitting over there by himself looking pissy.
Fred, how you doing?
Happy birthday, buddy.
Don't get married this weekend. That's all I got to tell you.
Yeah. For those of you that are just joining us, Fred and the guys are out in Vegas. Unfortunately, due to other vacations that I had planned and not being able to get out there, I wasn't able to go out with them for Fred's 40th. But Fred's 40th is tomorrow. So hit him up on Twitter and Facebook and everywhere. Tell him happy birthday. Do a drink for Fred tomorrow. We'll do one. I'll do one a little bit later. I know you're not doing the shots tonight because you got a little bit of a drive.
At least you got invited. I have to sit in this seat, and they didn't even invite me.
Oof. Ouch. All right.
Ouch.
We're going to move on. Speaking of good guys, Cedric Mullins. We heard last month that he played last year with Crohn's disease. And for those that don't know, Crohn's disease, it affects your stomach. It affects, sometimes your ability to function. Like from everybody I know, there's some days that you're like, you're in the bathroom for a long time. You're having bad cramps, things like that. And now we don't know how bad his was, but he was asked why did you wait until just last month to tell everybody that you had this? His response: he wanted to make sure that the spotlight stayed on Trey and him beating cancer because that was a much bigger deal than him having Crohn's disease.
What a man!
What a fucking teammate!
Sign him up. Sign him a check. Seriously, I'd rather pay this guy $100 million or whatever they're paying.
Remember that deal we gave Adam Jones?
Yeah, sign him up.
Sign Cedric to that deal right now.
I was a little bit of a haterade in the beginning, but he's really grown on me. Like
I'll give Fred credit. Papa Donahue.
Got to eat the crow.
Eat the crow. Exactly.
He saw it, and we're all like, I don't know. And I think Adam Jones even saw it too. But
100%.
Maybe that disease hindered him a little bit, and then
still fucking impressive. You had a disease that incapacitates some people at times, and you were 30 for 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases, all-star. The first Oriole ever to do it. You were an all-star, and you were the 21st in MLB history to ever do this.
And he should have won a Gold Glove.
Oh, 100% he should have won a Gold Glove the way he played out there.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. That's one of those things that hey, yo, by the way. But no, take a listen to some of these names. And we talked about this before, but I get your take. Now knowing what he was dealing with, right?
All right.
The 20 other times that it's happened, it was 20 other times by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 guys.
That's impressive.
20 other guys did this.
How long? Baseball's been around for what?
I mean, you're talking this dates back to 1922.
Yeah,
1922 was Ken Williams, Tommy Harper in 70, Bobby Bonds did it in 75, 77, 78. Joe Carter, we all know that name, did it in 87.
Is that Barry's dad, Bobby Bonds?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. 78, 75, 77, 78. So the timing would be right there.
I don't know how Joe Carter's on the list because he was tall and big. But
Cleveland, 87, he did it, 32 and 31. And he played in 158 games that year, too. Top out of any of those guys that I've just named so far, other than Bonds the 1 year. Jose Canseco, Alex Rodriguez, Sean Green.
He was solid back in the day for the Jays.
Right fielder for the Toronto Blue Jays. Jose Cruz Jr., another Toronto guy. Did it in 2001. Green did it in 98. Alfonso Soriano did it in 02, 03, 05.
Do you think he makes the Hall?
Soriano,
I don't know where he is on the voting thing because
fact that this is such a short list and you did as much as Bobby Bonds. Is Bobby Bonds in the?
I don't know.
I'd have to look and see that. But
Chuck Bobby Bonds is in the Hall. That's your next assignment because you missed the first one, putting the kids to bed. I saw that.
Grady Sizemore did it in 08. Ian Kinsler in 09. Jacoby Ellsbury in 11, along with Ian Kinsler again in 11. Mike Trout in 2012.
You would think Trout have done it more.
Right. Jose Ramirez did it in 18, along with Mookie Betts in 18. Cedric Mullins does it in 2021. Listen to that name that I just rattled off.
Some good names out there.
There's some great names out there. Hall of Famers and future Hall of Famers and 2 steroid users. Like,
don't.
They're not in the hall, are they? I'm not lying. 2 asterisk guys. But my whole point is that just makes the whole diagnosis for him. And again, we don't know the severity of it, but I mean,
it's still a big
going
deal.
based off having Crohn's disease. A lot of people say it's rough. It's rough at times. So to go through that, maybe that explains his rough patches. What if he doesn't have it? Imagine the numbers. He could have gone 40 and 40.
He didn't know he had it, and probably he thought he was sick or didn't feel good and played through it and couldn't manage it, and it hurt his career. And
but once he found out, to then keep it between him and the staff, him and the coaching staff, like
that's
so
pretty impressive because nowadays you could just have a hangnail and it gets on Twitter.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Yeah. So, but just crazy stuff. So let's kind of take a minute to just look at the free agency in the MLB as a whole, right? A lot of things going on, a lot of different guys that are going to places that are still out there, that are also going to places that are a little bit of a surprise, honestly.
I put this on Twitter, not that I have a lot of followers, but I can't remember the last time that MLB and I didn't even realize the NFL was free agency started like yesterday or going on at the same time. I mean, that's nuts for Twitter.
Yes.
Like I have followed a ton of people and I'm like, I don't even know my Twitter's working because it's like nothing going on. I'm like,
is my Twitter
I'm waiting for a
broken?
signing. I see Carlos Correa for the Orioles maybe, but then Elias on the fan said that they were done signing people and they weren't going to sign these shortstops, which kind of put a little damper.
Yeah, but he could be pulling an EDC and
true. EDC was doing was it like circles with Matt Moriarty in the castle today?
He was, yeah.
I like that he does put a lot of stuff out on Twitter.
He's showing he's tapped in. Yeah.
Because a lot of those guys you don't see or hear from them.
No, you don't. But when you look at some of the top free agents, Carlos Correa unsigned, Seager signed with Texas, 10-year deal there down in Texas, crazy deal there. Chris Bryant still unsigned. Marcus Semien again in Texas.
That was a 7-year deal.
7-year deal, crazy. Freddie Freeman goes unsigned.
Sign me some Freddie Freeman.
But Freddie Freeman, he's got to be on his way out because you have the changeover where they traded in the trade market. You have the fact that the A's traded Matt Olson, first baseman Matt Olson, to the Braves, and then the Braves turn around and signed Olson today. 8 years, $168 million.
I think that was their plan all year long.
Oh, it was a trade and sign all day. Yeah, 100%. You knew that was going to be the case. It had a guy like Olson. He had 1 year left. It absolutely made sense. Robbie Ray signed. Scherzer obviously going up to the Mets. We saw that.
I'm digging the Mets this year.
Mets look interesting, right? They get Starling Marte too. Marcus Stroman going back to the Cubs. Marcus Stroman just floating between the freaking Cubs and the Mets at this point. Cubs Mets. Like that's his.
He was with the Blue Jays.
Oh, you know who I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of the guy that we had. That's not. Hat used to jerk when he pitched.
I have no idea. I
can't think of his name. Whatever.
Was he a starter or reliever?
Reliever. Yeah, I don't remember. Anyway,
don't know. That's fine.
We know that Gausman signed.
Talk about someone we screwed up on, Gausman. I mean, the dude was lights out in San Francisco. I mean, I know he had a rough patch. He's really good in Atlanta. Then Cincinnati didn't turn out so good. San Francisco turned him into a freaking all-star, and he signs with Hughes. Good for that guy. I mean, I hate to tell it. He's back in the AL East. He is going to get shelled again. He will get shelled
Possibly,
again.
Yeah. I mean,
but good for him.
The problem is he was also playing against guys that he's pitching against guys like Clayton Kershaw, who also signed his 1 year deal.
Yeah, he just signed
with the Dodgers. Right? Dude's going to retire a Dodger. He's got to at this point.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Unless he takes like a flyer.
I mean, he's on a 1 year deal, but at the same time, like I don't know how old he is.
They're still giving good money out for 1 year deals. I just keep signing those.
Just keep signing them.
Trevor Story's still out there.
Nick
Castellanos.
Kenley Jensen, reliever.
He went back. No,
did he sign with the Dodgers again?
I'm not sure on that. I was thinking.
This is showing he's unsigned.
Mets signed Familia the other day.
Yeah, Mets signed Familia. You still have Anthony Rizzo that's unsigned. You still have Michael Conforto that's unsigned. Kyle Schwarber's unsigned. Let's see. Michael Pineda, Zach Greinke. Zach Greinke's 38 years old.
Schwarber.
He'll get a 1-year deal somewhere.
Is he really 38, man?
Yeah, he's getting up there.
I think he'll end up in the Hall. If you look at his numbers, very solid for a long time.
Yeah. Danny Duffy from the Dodgers, again, unsigned.
He was rumored to the Orioles, I saw.
He was rumored to the Orioles at one point. The Orioles did sign, and that was two of the guys we didn't go over.
Pedro Strop. Thank you,
Pedro Strop,
Steven.
thank you.
We're not even looking. Pedro Strop. He's
thank you.
Strop. Should we give it another?
Give me a hell yeah.
Yeah, right. No, but so that's one of the things that I think that you got to look at, right, is some of the signings that the Ravens or that the Orioles did do, right? We did sign Jordan Lyle to a deal.
It's not bad. We need someone, bring someone in that is decent. Like, the last couple of pitchers they signed just kind of sucked.
Yes.
But I can't believe the money that Toronto and the Rangers spent. I mean, it's astronomical. And then you look at us and you go, why can't we sign somebody?
Yeah.
Bill, come on, the Orioles need help in the infield. It's not that we were talking about this before air. It's not the outfield. I don't think it's going to be the starting pitching. You need a middle infielder.
But you also
sign someone.
You also have some guys that are coming up through the system, like a Vavra that can do some damage. That he looks good.
You put him on third or second.
Maybe. But Jordan Lyles gets a 1-year, $5.5 million deal. And then we also see Robinson Chirinos. We don't know the money on that. He signs a 1-year deal.
That's a decent
as a catcher.
I didn't like Severino. Wore out his welcome.
Yeah, 100%. Well, he's gone at this point. So you have some of those, but you also have some of the things that you look at, right, that are going on. Fernando Tatis fractured his wrist. That's a huge deal for the Padres.
Motorcycles, baby.
Motorcycles, yeah, exactly. Who was it? Pete Alonso was in a
car wreck. That was scary. I saw that.
They said he's okay, apparently.
Dude, he kicked out the windshield. Talk about like the person you want to be in an accident with and that you're like flipped sideways. He just literally took his polar bear feet and just stomped the crap out of it.
But here's the one thing you worry about is like those things you may be feeling okay right after, but that's some of those injuries from something like that. He apparently flipped 3 times.
Someone hit him too, I think.
Right, T-boned him. T-boned him, and he flipped the car 3 times. So
you don't know if that's going to be like
there could be some longer term injury, issues there. So yeah, you have a lot of things going on that I think ultimately tell you what's happening. We also talked about Mike Trout earlier. I just want to throw this out there because this was an interesting piece, and we talked about Griffey a minute ago too. They posted, who was this? Something View. I forget what it was on. It was on Facebook.
You're watching The View?
Age 26, Fanatics View is what it's called. Through age 26, through their age 26 season, Ken Griffey Jr., that was 8 seasons for each him, Mickey Mantle, and Mike Trout. Griffey played in 1057. Mantle played in 1102. Trout played in 1065. Very similar numbers between him and Griffey. Griffey batted 302, 381, 549. Trout 307, 416, 573. Mickey Mantle 314, 430, 577. 238 home runs for Griffey with 725 RBIs. Trout has 240 with 648 RBIs. And Mantle had 249 with 766. All three 7 times All-Star. Griffey's the only one with a 7-time Gold Glove, but we also have Mantle and Trout, who were 2 times AL MVP.
Wow.
Those numbers, just as comparison, shows you what Trout is. And to be on that number that we talked about earlier with Cedric Mullins, you were in the same voice as that guy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He's a Hall of Famer.
It's great. It's great.
He could stop now, and he could still be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, 100%.
So we got Steven said something. What do you got there?
Let's see. Steven said, hard fact, the stolen base is devalued by Moneyball, and it's a shame. It is. It is.
I love the stolen base. Who doesn't love that?
And that's small ball, right? Small ball we know was devalued by things like Moneyball and playing that. But the competitive balance stuff, the competitive balance tax, all this stuff is going to try to shift some of that stuff. And we might see it.
Does it come back a little bit with no more shifts, you think?
I think it has to.
All right, because you can't. Before you'd have the second baseman standing right over the bag, so you ain't gonna.
Now it becomes more valuable because now you got to beat the guy there, right?
You better be quicker.
But even if you're playing the shift, if you're playing the shift and you're standing just to the right of second base,
just don't get me started on that.
But I'm saying that's what people are going to do. Let's not joke ourselves. People are going to go, okay, I got 2 guys at second base. There's one guy at shortstop,
might
and
as
the
well
other
put
guy
the line there.
You're still going to have third base sitting wide the fuck open. Still bunt the fucking ball at this point, right? It's just going to be a deep. You're going to have
Chris Davis didn't learn that.
You're going to have a shallow shortstop and a deep shortstop. That's what it's
Yeah.
going to wind up being.
But I wonder if they make him stay in the infield. Like you cannot go on the grass.
The infield is considered. You could be up on the grass if you're up on the grass and you're playing like you're playing bases loaded, one out or base load, nobody out.
Everybody's in.
Everybody's in. You could play that and you could wind up cutting some balls down and still have a guy deep to get those flares.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there.
What happens when they bring a fifth infielder in? Is what I want to know. Got him.
Got him.
You can't stand on this side or that side. You got to stand over there.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, it's good. Well, I think it says at least 2 infielders.
At least, okay.
So they get around.
It's the wording. It's all about the wording, Scott.
It is. It's all about
the details.
So it's just then it's more impressive what the outfielders can do.
True.
Think about that. If you can run down a ball in center field, you're a new center
Mullins.
fielder.
There you go.
Exactly. Put him in left field for that play. Shift him to left field so he can cover left and right. It'd be awesome. All right, it is time for some of our rundown topics. We're going to stick with NFL. There's been a lot of news, obviously, in the NFL that we're just going to kind of run through. One of them, the first one, obviously being the biggest news of the week, is the fact that Ryan Jensen stays in Tampa pretty much because Tom Brady says
Well, I
he's
think my
coming
head
back.
popped off. I saw it and I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a joke. Was it like April Fool's Day or something? Like,
Yeah,
I'm like,
it was.
you spent what? What do you spend?
2 months.
2 months and
2 months.
coming-
2 months with the
right-
kids and said, "Fuck these kids."
right before free agency too. Literally right like at that day in the morning or whatever. I'm coming back, guys.
Fucked everybody's plans up.
Yeah, I bet there was a lot of GMs just cursing and throwing stuff in their offices.
Thank God I didn't release him in Dynasty.
You probably thought about it.
I did. I was sitting there thinking, okay, before our
But
draft,
you should
I'll
thank
release
Ryan
him.
because all the teams are like locked right now. So.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no. So Brady, he announces he's not done. He spent a few months ago he wouldn't. And this time he said
He still had a
just
really
kidding."
good year last year. I mean, you know what? As much as you hate him that he won, you got to respect that he's good.
Who won the championship?
Oh, shut up.
Who won the championship with Tom Brady
Look,
as quarterback? This guy.
I had all my running backs hurt. I don't want to hear it.
You sound like the Ravens.
Basically.
But yeah, so that was the big news, and then obviously that's going to trigger a bunch of different things. You know that they're going to be trying to work some magic to get some guys down there.
They already started signing guys and trading for him.
Well, and that's the
they
thing
like
is-
changed their whole plans
Let's-
because you thought they were going to be dormant.
Let's face it. One of the things that you've got to look at is with Tom Brady, there guys want to play with Tom Brady. We saw last year guys are willing to take discounted deals because they want to go play with Tom Brady.
Well, he could take him to the Super Bowl.
They felt that gives them the best chance to get there. He got to the
What
playoffs.
does that say about like the NFL though? I mean, you got a 45-year-old man. Nothing against his age or whatever, but you think it would be like a young buck. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar. Like you'd want to go play for those guys because they have the best chance, and they're going with the old head. The goat.
Knowledge is invaluable.
True.
When you've been there and you've done that, you know how to read people. You know how to read guys.
He's probably like 10 plays ahead of
These
everybody.
I think we've seen over the past few years we couldn't. Mac Jones will be the test for the Patriots. If
True.
they can sustain something with Mac Jones, then Bill Belichick. But
he was decent. Like he wasn't super amazing, but I think he made some good strides.
is Belichick done? Did he announce that he's done yet?
No, I don't think so.
He's definitely not done now.
Why, just to beat Tom Brady?
He wants to come back with Mac Jones and beat Tom Brady. Why not? If he comes back,
Good. Matt Jones is in my dynasty league.
If you have Belichick, if the Patriots can beat the Bucks in some type of fashion,
that was crazy.
It flips it back to maybe it was Belichick. Who was it? Right? It's
then,
back to that.
Then
question.
they'll all be like 7 years old still playing.
Right now, the ball is at Tom Brady. Tom Brady took the Bucks to the playoffs twice.
Yeah.
Right? The 2 years that he's there, he's taking them to the playoffs.
And they were crap the previous years.
Exactly. Well, I mean, previous years, up to 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, I mean, they
prior
were
to that.
That 1 year with Winston when he was throwing the ball over, they were okay,
But yeah, so that's what you got to look at, and you got to say, okay, there's a lot going on here. That's going to be the interesting piece. But I think Brady, something's in him. It's going to be a Favre-esque situation.
Well,
He's going to keep coming back.
He probably will. I mean, didn't he say he wanted to play till he was like 50 or something?
He said he wanted to play till he's
But
50.
if you look at the landscape of quarterbacks too, you have Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson Russell Wilson just went to the AFC. They're all the good ones.
You've got
are
an
in the AFC.
offensive line that can protect you. You don't need to be mobile.
True. He's still he's got some ooze. It's like avocado.
He's look.
slippery
It's a
little
Tom
devil.
Brady diet, right?
I need that
TB12 diet.
I need that Tom Brady diet.
I need that diet, man.
Tom, please send us what you do.
Exactly. But no, obviously that being the biggest news this week changes the landscape of what some teams are doing, and especially what the Bucs are doing.
Yeah, because I think they were going to be like pretty much let everybody go and kind of start over a little bit.
Yeah, they're making some moves now, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. The other big news, which I fully anticipated this one.
Oh, yeah.
The Rams, their left tackle, Andrew Whitworth, 16 seasons in the NFL. Those guys, their body takes a big toll.
Yeah.
So for a lineman to last as long as he did, 16 seasons, and go out as a Super Bowl winner, how could you want it any other way?
Yeah.
You know, and you go out as a guy that, you know, everybody knows as being the kind of the go-to for the Walter Payton Man of the Year type award, him and Calais.
Didn't he win that this year?
Yeah.
Of course.
That's my point. Like he's going out on top in all fronts. It makes sense, right? He doesn't know what's going to become of the Rams next year.
They were I thought they got a couple guys.
They kept a few guys. They got rid of a few guys. I don't know.
But they don't have any first round picks for 5 years.
Yeah.
Crazy.
They gave up everything.
I guess it's all worth it.
So that was another big one. The other big release that some people were surprised with, but other people aren't. Jaguars released veteran linebacker Miles Jack. That move will save them $8.35 million, according to Adam Schefter.
Chef.
The thing with this is the news comes one day after the Jags agreed to sign 6 free agents, including linebacker Foye Oluokun. I think is how you say his name.
Good.
Which he led the NFL in tackles. He led the NFL in tackles last year with 192.
Okay. That's a lot of tackles.
But Jack was the Jaguars' leading tackler last season with 108, and it has had at least 107 the past 3 of his past 4 seasons.
You think the Ravens will sign him? We didn't talk about him.
He's going to cost you too much. I think he's going to cost you too much. I think he cost you more than Bobby Wagner.
Probably right on that.
You know, what he's able to do, I think he cost you more than that. Again, the move, it's $4.8 million in dead money. He was due to make $10.5 million and count 13.5 or 13.25 against the cap, or just under 13.25 against the cap, which would have been the third highest figure on the team, with Cam Robinson at 16.6 and Shaq Griffin at 16.5. So he originally had signed a 4-year deal that was a $57 million extension that included $33 million guaranteed. That was back in September of 2019, right? So now this is that last year. They've gotten most of that money off the books. And at this point, they really don't. I think they're going to own the remaining of the signing bonus, and that's about it. So it really opens it up. And the Jaguars drafted him after trading up 2 spots in 2016. Right, so this guy is still relatively young, right? 6 years in the league.
He was big when they went to their try to go to the Super Bowl run.
Well, they were competitive. Let's put it that way.
1 year with Bortles took him.
Yeah, well, they had Bortles, they had Campbell, right, on that team.
Leonard Fournette.
So they had a lot of these guys that helped take them there on offense and defense. So yeah, I think it's interesting. It's going to be
too, right? I think he was on that team.
Was he on that team?
He
may have been. You may be right. That may have been. Either that year or was that the year that he was traded?
I don't remember.
I think that might have been the year.
Chuck, that's your third. I'm picking on Chuck tonight. Chuck, I know he's not even there. He didn't answer the last one. So we got another comment out there.
Mac Jones has noodle arms. What's up, long time John Googs? What's up, man? I appreciate you guys joining us. But yeah, again, the free agency moves that are happening around the NFL. It's just been, it's been a flurry of moves, if you will. I think obviously the Dolphins signing Teddy Bridgewater. The Chargers.
I heard he signed.
The Chargers get former Terp J.C. Jackson.
That had to be a monster contract, right? Because
5 year, it's reportedly going to be 5 years, $82.5 million. So yeah, it's pretty big deal, pretty big contract. Carlton Davis stays in Tampa, so there you go, signs in Tampa. Offensive lineman Brandon Schreff stays in Jacksonville. We know about Marcus. Randy Gregory. So this was one that Gregory was flipping. We thought it was going to be Dallas for 5 years, $70 million. Now he's apparently been lured away for very similar money to the Broncos. He's 29 years old, had 16 and a half sacks in his time with the Cowboys. So
I just want to say that I guess I'm going to call CBS out here that they have Mitch Trubisky as a grade B signing. I think that's funny.
yeah, that is pretty funny.
I would give it like a C.
So Christian Kirk, 25-year-old receiver.
Wide receiver, Arizona.
He signs in Jacksonville.
Jacksonville's throwing some money around.
4 years, $84 million.
They need to build around Lawrence. He really suffered.
Yeah, and I think that's what they recognized this past year. Eagles land Hassan Reddick, who's had 23 and a half sacks and 8 fumbles over the past 2 years. Pretty damn decent numbers.
That's good.
Double-digit numbers on the sacks the past 2 years. He's looking at a reported $45 million 3-year contract. Obviously, the Steelers with Trubisky, Ryan Jensen with Tampa, Russell Gage is going to apparently sign with the Bucks. So, you know, Russell Gage, that was previously with Atlanta, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin. Mm-hmm. There's a pretty decent receiving core right there. I don't hate that at all.
No.
So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next few weeks. Again, it's just getting started with the free agency piece.
I feel like that's kind of been tampered a little bit. Like, it's not, usually you hear all these big numbers and crazy signings, and it's like, it really is not that, like.
Yeah, it's not as wild. I think it's also still early, right? Some of these free agent signings, some people are looking at it, especially with the cap, right? The cap goes up, but you have some teams that already had spent a lot of money last year on some
or they maybe
bigger
didn't cut. If the cap went up, they didn't have to cut the guys, so there wasn't extra free agents out there.
Yeah, and, you know, a team like the Bucks, I think going into this year, they already had something like $15 million to play with.
No, that's a lot.
So if you restructure some contracts, whatever it may be, you could wind up good. You could have wind up being at $20 million.
Gronk will be back.
Gronk will probably be back. And here's the deal. He wants to have fun. He's not. Is he worried about a payday? Probably a little bit. But I think
he's not. The dude, everyone thinks he's I love the
Gronkowski. I said a little bit. I didn't say a lot, right?
They said that he's yet to spend one dime of his NFL money.
He just loves playing with Tom Brady too. Like, there's a reason he came back for Tom Brady. There's a reason he's going to come back again to play with Tom Brady. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Who is the team to beat in the AFC this year?
I'm going to go the Bills.
As it stands right now, I would agree. I think it's the Bills. I would agree with that.
I'd go Bills, Chiefs, which I'm getting tired of them already. And then I'd say the Ravens up there if things work out and they stay healthy. Because Lamar is going to be, he doesn't have a contract, which we didn't really talk about. You guys talked about before. You know, he's going to be on point to get the most money he can. We're going to have both our running backs back. The defense is going to be back, the corners, you know, Humphrey and Peters. It's going to be a totally different team, I think, if they can stay healthy.
I think you got to throw Cincy in there.
True, I'll give that.
Look what they did without an offensive line.
We weren't really going
right
like
now.
top 5. I was just giving out like
they're in my top 5. If I'm saying a competitive AFC team, I'm probably saying Bills, Cincinnati.
But would you agree with me? If Cincinnati had the injuries that we did, they'd be in a totally different boat.
Oh, 100%. But they didn't.
True.
That's the thing, right? So top 5 teams, I'll go. Tennessee's another team that, if depending on what moves they make.
I heard they were trying to ship Tannehill out of there.
Depends on what they do, what you do to get a quarterback there. I mean, I think they've been one of the people that's been rumored on Deshaun Watson, as well as Jimmy G.
Tannehill's done decent for him. I don't.
Jimmy G's better in my opinion if he can stay healthy. Run your offense better than Tannehill did. But Tannehill.
Come on, what's their offense? Let's give it to the King.
Yeah, give it to the King. Give it to the King or throw it to Brown.
Take it.
That's what it is. So yeah, I think I'd put the Ravens in a top 5 of like who you're looking at to say, who's
top 5. Okay.
Who's going to be this year. So I would say top 5 in no particular order. I would say Buffalo, Cincinnati, Kansas City, Tennessee, Ravens, depending on what they do.
I'd say maybe Chargers in there instead of like Tennessee.
How do they come back from some of their injuries?
Yeah, but not that I follow everything what all the teams are doing. I know they made some deals on what in the offseason so far. So
yeah, we'll see what happens.
Herbert's he's a beast.
He is a beast. He is a beast. All right. Well, we don't have a 2-minute warning for today. So
we should just hit the button and come up with something.
We're just all right. So let's see. All right. You can have Ravens season tickets for the next 5 years, or Orioles season tickets for the rest of your life for free. Which one are you going with?
Orioles. That's
really
yes. I am a diehard baseball fan. I love going down to the ballpark. I love going down with my kids. I see Scott. I see people we know.
Oh,
the Ravens.
Thank you.
Ravens. Like I've been to a couple games. It's all right. It's just too many drunk people. I'm sorry. Like there's drunk people at the Orioles games. I get that too. But like
it's not as bad.
I'd rather sit there and watch a football game on TV. Like I'm watching. Whatever, even college, I'd rather sit there and watch it on TV. Baseball, I could watch it in the stands or at home.
Fair enough. For me, I'm gonna go opposite because I would
go opposite, of course.
Because Orioles.
I'm surprised about that because
Orioles are cheaper. I can spend the money there versus going over to the Ravens Stadium where the seats are gonna be expensive. All right, what's your question? Give me a question. Let's go.
Oh gosh,
Put you on the spot.
On the spot. I can't think of one right now. Oh, all right. What do you think the Orioles record's gonna be?
Ooh,
Okay, how about this?
Does Adley make opening day roster or not?
Will they be above 500? Let's go there because the record's,
Yes, I think they have the ability to be
10 games
above
over?
500. You're pushing it. You're pushing it.
Which I think they were really
500 is 80 wins.
Yeah, and they were at like 60 something last year.
I think they have the ability to get to 80, but I don't think they have the ability to go beyond that. I think 80
I'd agree with that.
go.
I think that's it.
So same question.
I'd say above 500. I mean, I think I think they're close. They get a couple of these young guys up, even the young prospects.
So you really think if they're in a competitive situation, we're buyers at the trade deadline?
No, they're not going to be buyers. Hell no.
You're not going to be a buyer at the trade deadline if we're in the hunt.
No. You're not trading away your top prospects. You will sell your guys. I mean, you might I got dinged. You might sell the guys that are doing good and just ride it out and start over.
You surprised me by that. All right.
It's a smart thing. No, it's the smart thing to do. It's not that would I want them to do it? Hell yes. But are they going to sit there and say Dale Hall's not up there? Oh, here's Dale Hall for some Joe Smo for a year.
All right. No, we'll do a short, quick after hours, and some people are chiming in, so we'll say what you guys are doing. But we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hope the guys are out in Vegas having a lot of fun. I really hate. I've seen all the pictures. I hate not being able to be out there and have fun, drink it up.
I want to see some more stair races.
I think they saw the Jabberwockies. Which is a great show out there and everything. So I'm sure they're having fun out there. Make sure, again, you go wish Fred a happy birthday on social media tomorrow.
If you see him in Vegas, buy him a drink.
If you happen to be out in Vegas, buy him a drink while you're out there, i.e. Drew, James.
They'll all take free drinks, let's be real.
Exactly. But no, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you join the Birdland BS Bracket Challenge on ESPN. Just search Birdland BS 2022 in their groups. You'll be able to find it. Get it in. You only have a day to get it in. The games start on Thursday.
Fred is giving away a free t-shirt.
And Fred's giving away a free t-shirt on that. According to Joe, it's his call on this. Make sure you always check us out on our website, www.birdlandbs.com. While you're there, check out all of our episodes. You can learn about all of our gear, learn about each of us. Make sure you also check us out on Big Play and all of our social media pages. It's really easy to find us because you're probably already here if you're watching this. It's really easy. At Birdland BS is how you find it. At Vito Spumoni, at Scott BLBS. Make sure you check us out. Look out for us. Look out, especially for me. I'm on some of the spaces, the Raven spaces, things like that. Make sure you also check us out on our audio version of the show, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcasts is where you can find us. So make sure you give us a 5-star review while you're there. As always, thanks for tuning in. For myself, Joe, and the crew out in Vegas, we'll see you guys next week. See ya. It's last call for alcohol.
Last call. Scott's definitely inviting me back. That's the word on the street. Sorry,
Yeah,
boys.
we'll have to have you back. You did a good job, buddy. That was a good show.
It was good.
45 minutes on the Ravens. I thought that was a lot longer than I was thinking we were going to go.
I know. It's not like there's much going on, you know.
Well, you have the free agency stuff, but the Ravens aren't doing a whole lot. We can speculate in a lot, but also it's harder because especially if we start to have the same opinion on something or you look at something, it's hard. Well, it's one of the things that we love having you guys chime in. I wouldn't sleep on the Chargers, but Scott's list is pretty much spot on. That's damn right, Chuck. Damn right,
All
buddy.
We got some predictions on wins too. Someone said 83, 80, 84 for the Orioles. So I think we're pretty all on the same page that they're going to take a big step.
Yeah, John Gook says no Chargers. It just got J.C. Jackson and Mac. Look,
that's what I said. Chargers.
I get it, but I'm not sold on them yet because I don't know that I've seen. I like the trend that I'm seeing out of Herbert in that offense. I just don't know that it's enough to say that they're.
I feel like they might need like a tight end.
Basis.
I don't know who their tight end is, but.
Oh shit! Who is their tight end? Somebody help us out. O's without thinking about it. 80 and 84 for John Goose.
Anyone else up there? Go a little scroll up and see if there's any.
Dan 83. No, it goes in reverse order on the backside. So I think a lot of people are chiming in. There's only a few of you guys watching out there, but
did you say pervert?
Herbert, Joe. Herbert almost swapped Tennessee and the Chargers because Tannehill is modern Fitzmagic, but I'd take him over Jimmy G. Look at what
Jimmy G doesn't impress me.
He did.
There we go. I like this. Alex, 90 wins by the O's. I like this guy.
Alex,
Thank
90
you, Alex.
wins,
there you
man.
go. Could you imagine that?
90 wins
Gets you in the playoffs.
Well,
does 500 get you in the playoffs with 12 teams?
It may.
I think they all got mad last year because San Francisco and Dodgers had like over 100 wins and one had to be the wild card, so they got mad about it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I get it. Like that's why I said I do get, and I said this before. I like the 12 teams, but I think it should be the 12 best teams. Period.
I could agree with that. And
I get the idea of divisions, but if the best of the best is the American League versus the American League in the
That'd be
World
wild.
Series. I mean,
yeah, but if you look at any pro,
there's no difference between the leagues anymore.
Well,
so what the fuck are we doing? Just have
any pro
divisions.
league like NHL, NBA, it's always one side and the other side, East Coast, West Coast.
Well, here's how you do it though: is you have what? There's 30 teams in the MLB, 30 teams in the MLB. So 10 teams. If you have 5 teams from each side, so right, if I say, okay, we're gonna take all of our games and you're gonna play against every American League team, right? Or just say East Coast, right? All the teams on the East Coast, right? There's 5, so there's 10 teams right there in the league in that division. So if you have 5 per or 10 per, you can say, okay, you're gonna play all these division games, and you're gonna play that same 60 games that we were talking about against the 10 teams. You're going to go each year, you're going to do one region. So you only actually have to travel across country one time each year.
Yeah.
Everything else is still in your same.
They've talked
same
about
time.
realigning that kind of stuff.
I think they need to do it, and I think now's the time to do it. Now that DH is gone, just it's.
I do like the universal
one league,
DH.
One league by region. Period.
I mean, it was cool to see pitchers hit home runs, but it didn't happen that often.
I mean, it's cool to see some of those guys get up and the Bartolo Colognes hitting a home run.
I really think they should add a home run derby for the pitchers.
Now, if you're replacing that, I don't mind that. But the home run derby is now also apparently deciding the All-Star game.
That's stupid.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Wait,
whatever.
How does that decide the All-Star game?
I think who home team is.
Oh.
Or who's going to get it the next year. I don't know.
That's stupid. Well, if you're Fred Manfred, we're just going to stick it in a bunch of NL teams for about 20 years.
Oh, you mean that's what they're already doing?
Yeah, well, but, we could go back to Canaan Yards.
Appreciate it, Joe.
Oh, you're talking to that Joe. Yeah, thank you, Joe. I was like, okay.
He's got an orange logo. His name's
I like
Joe.
it. I like it.
There you go. He said, Alex says, I missed the O segment. Will Adley start with us?
I'm going to say no, they said, I saw it. He has 3 weeks and then they get extra years. After 3 weeks, he'll be up. That's my. Unless you said your point.
There's no reason not to bring him up. There's no reason.
I agree with you.
Chirinos comes in, and Chirinos even said he's coming in to mentor this kid.
What was that thing you said on the new CBA that if you had him start in the beginning of the season, you get extra draft picks?
If he starts in the beginning of the season and he's in the running for top 3 of Rookie of the Year voting,
he would be.
Which he probably would be.
Unless he gets hurt.
You get 3. You can get up to 3 draft picks.
He's what? He's out of college. He was 21. It's been how many years have they had him? 2 years? 3 years? So he's like
2 years.
2 years. So 23. He's ready. Bring him up. Like that's what's going to make me mad as a fan, as a season ticket holder, is that if you don't see Grayson, Adley, DL Hall, what's that?
He just said, "What about Grayson?"
Honestly, Grayson they might keep down a little bit. I don't know what his age is because he's younger. Yeah, I think he was a high school draft pick.
And the problem with that whole 3-week thing, right? You get the extra year. That's exactly the service time manipulation bullshit that we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's where they're trying to counteract that and say, okay, yeah, you get the extra year if you keep him for 3 weeks. But if this kid is good as everybody thinks he is the top prospect in MLB right now.
We have the top hitting and pitching prospect.
Right. If he comes up and is the top, if he is at the top in the Rookie of the Year voting from the get-go because he started on your opening day roster, you get 3 draft picks out of that. That's the way I'm guessing, by the way. It says top 3, you get up to 3. So I'm guessing if he's number 1, you get 3 draft picks. If they're number 2, you get 2. If they're number 3, you get 1. That makes sense. 100% makes sense to me. So if that's the case, then why? It's not worth the extra year of service time.
No, it's not.
It's not.
If you had Adley on the open day roster, I'm not saying I think he makes the team more than I see Grayson or one of the pitchers. The first series will be packed.
Oh, 100%.
You want fans in the stadiums, Orioles, because guess what? Nobody's showing up.
The first several series will be packed.
After usually the first home game, everybody goes there or it will be full or I don't know. Sometimes it looks like it's
well, that's the weird thing
opening
too, right?
day is like weird because they say it's a sellout, but you look around and half of the people I don't think make it in the stadium.
Because they're still over at Pickles.
Exactly.
Or they don't make it out of Pickles.
Exactly. But you would draw so many more fans in just to come and see the guy.
Yeah. I just
do it.
I think
what are you waiting
stupid.
on? Elias, what are you waiting on just for an extra year? This is what you've been building on for the last 3 years. Just do it.
Yeah, I think hopefully Elias is turning the page with that kind of bullshit.
I think he is, the way he talked a little bit, but he's not going to show the hand.
He's not going to show the hand. But the fact that you're bringing in Chirinos and Chirinos is saying, yeah, I'm excited to get with this kid and hopefully help to be a mentor to him. Like, it tells you that Chirinos thinks this guy, from what he's hearing, is going to be
hopefully not.
He only needs to be on the roster. He doesn't actually need to be the starter.
Carrie, please forgive me. Hopefully he's not the next Matt Wieters and the next Johnny Bench.
Yeah, well,
his wife loves Matt Wieters, which I don't even know if he signed with the team. He might have retired.
I don't know.
Last time I saw him, he was in like St. Louis as a backup.
But I think with Adley, right, the thing, and the guys were giving me shit in one of our chats because I made that whole comment a few weeks ago about the video with him with the swing. All I was saying about that was just the fact that he was trying so hard that he's rolling, and when you roll your foot where it's you're the top of your ankle, it'd be the equivalent of my wrist right now touching the ground and my foot being laying flat. Like, it's not meant to bend that way.
No, definitely
and if
not.
you put
That's
too much
like a
pressure,
rolled
it could be
ankle.
on it. But I saw some swings out of him more recently. It was more natural of a swing. I think through that little video, he was just trying too hard and he was getting out there, getting out in front of his body, opening his body up. He's having fun, but
we're all
you gotta
not
be
perfect,
careful.
especially when you're doing that.
Exactly, but you got to be careful as a professional athlete. And hopefully somebody kind of took him aside and said, hey, you can do this stuff. That's fine. Just be careful, right? The last thing that you would want, had he like broken his ankle or hurt himself, strained his back
because he's doing a Twitter.
How much would that hurt?
Instagram
right?
video.
So, and it's good. You want to be engaged with the people, engaged with everything. It's great, and I wish him the best of luck. I hope nothing happens. Knock on wood. My point was just like this was a for fun thing that could have an effect on your long term, and it's a learning experience. I'm sure.
He probably got a phone call and was like, "Yo, you need to chill out."
When he showed up down there, they probably kind of said, "Hey, let's take it easy. Don't stress yourself." And hopefully that means that he's going to wind up staying on.
Alex is asking, do we think the Ravens do anything else in free agency after Williams?
I think they've got. It depends on what the Williams structure of the contract looks like, and if they're going to need to restructure some
now, if they sign, I think they'll sign a pass rusher. But if they sign Lamar, just say extend him. Just say they do that. How much extra cap space does that help them? I mean, it would, because he's getting what, like $23 million this year. So that you would think that would,
I think it's 21
or 20 something. That would definitely open it up, because you could say the first couple of years you're not getting much.
Yeah, I mean, you could. It depends on how you structure it, right? And it also, can you restructure any of these other contracts to, a Marcus Peters to free up a little bit more money, right? Because could you restructure a Marlin to free up some more money?
What do you think they'd go after, though? We'll get back to the question. Not that I was trying
in free agency, I think you need. You have to get somebody from the defensive front. You have to get a front defensive forward
D
type
tackle,
guys.
something like that.
A Zadarius Smith, like a guy like that. You need something. You've got right now. You basically have nothing. I know
you
that
have
people
no big
say,
body either.
Well, I know people say like Ferguson is a guy that can come in and we don't know what he did, but there's a reason he wasn't playing as much last year. He's not ready.
Yeah,
he's not. You were willing to put Calais Campbell out there
BK
before
really
him.
wasn't flashing that much.
Meta Beast, we're hearing it can be better. What happens with Derek Wolfe?
I can't believe he's still on the team. I thought they would have released him.
I guess they're waiting to see what happens with his surgery, right? Does he come? He waited so long to have surgery. Does he come back from it? Who knows? It's going to be tough to tell. So,
do we like the release?
We talked
Tavon?
about that earlier.
Goodbye. He'll end up in another NFL team.
He'll get some money somewhere. He'll be a starter somewhere. But it wasn't to me. The production on the field wasn't worth the $5.8 million that you just saved in the cap that you wound up getting, and you wound up. Remember, you took that money that you pulled from Tavon and from Alejandro, and you turned around and you pretty much gave that money over to Williams, who is arguably
he was
a top 10 safety, top 5 for safety in some people's eyes. I don't know about that, but
and they were saying that he was the second highest rated free agent. I mean, when's the last time the Ravens done that?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
So
there's always the XFL and the AFL, Tavon. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, guys, we appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm going to take this last one. Happy birthday to Fred. Make sure you wish him. I know we said it before. And for those of you guys still on, make sure you also check us out on the ESPN Bracket Challenge. You just search Birdland space BS space 2022. It's also, it's in the descriptions on the videos, and it's on our Twitter page. So make sure you go check it out. Appreciate you guys tuning in.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
No problem. Appreciate you joining. Great show, buddy.
Great show.
You too. See you guys.